Hi there. I wanted to show what I consider to be probably the most underused set of shortcuts by new Pro Tools users. These are some shortcuts that I use in the creation of every single Pro Tools session, and it makes things much faster for me. When I'm teaching, I'll have my students create a collection of tracks. 4 mono audio tracks, a stereo aux track, and a stereo master fader. Inevitably, they all do the same thing. They'll go to the menu bar at the top of the page, track, new. They'll create 4 mono audio tracks and hit the create button, again using the mouse. Then they'll go back up to track, new, 1, stereo, aux input, and hit create. Next, they'll create a stereo master fader. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm a big fan of using shortcuts to just make my workflow faster. Let's try this a different way. All of these commands can be done on either the PC or the Mac. I'm using a Mac. To use the PC, instead of using the command button when I say to, just hold down the control button. So here we go. In order to open the new track dialog, I'm going to press Shift Command N. That opens up the new track dialog. I'm now just simply going to press the 4 button on the number pad to tell Pro Tools to make 4 mono audio tracks. At this point, I'm going to hold down the Command key and the plus key on the numeric keypad. This doesn't work on a laptop unless you have a standalone keypad. So, plus key, that opens up a second line in the new track dialog. Now it's saying 1 mono audio track. If I hold down the Command key and use the right or left arrow, I can switch between the different widths of track types. And by width, I mean mono, stereo, LCR, LCRS, quad, 5.0, 5.1, 6.0, 6.1, 7.0 SDDS, 7.1 SDDS, 7.0, or 7.1. I just want to create a stereo track, so I'm going to press the right arrow until I get back to stereo. Now, using the Command key and the up-down arrow, I can switch between the different track types. So this is an audio track, but I can, by hitting the down arrow, get to an aux input, master fader, VCA master, MIDI track, instrument track, and finally a video track. I wanted to use an aux track, so I'll just continue holding the Command key until I get to aux input. Now I also wanted to create a stereo master fader. I'm going to hold down the Command key and then the plus key on the numeric keypad. I'm going to use the right arrow to get to stereo and the down arrow until I get to master fader. At this point, I can just hit the Enter key or the Return key and all the tracks will be created. Let's undo that, and I'll do it again in real time so you can see the speed difference. So here we go. 4 mono audio tracks, 1 stereo aux track, 1 stereo master fader. That's a lot faster than mousing around. So the second set of keyboard shortcuts I want to show you is how to name tracks. Again, in my classes, I'll ask the students to name the tracks, saying that audio 1 is a kick drum, and then I want to use the comment field to show that it is a D112 that we're using. Audio 2, I'd like them to call it the snare mic and show that it's a 57. Audio 3 and 4, overhead hat, overhead ride, both using 414s. this is the way they do it. Kick, then they'll click here and they'll say D112. They'll click OK, go to the next track, they'll say snare 57 and click OK. The way I teach them to do it is they'll double click on the track name and they'll say OH hat. If you hit tab, it'll open up the comment field. So we can just call this 414. Now, hold down the command key, control on a PC, and the right arrow, and you move to the next track. So now this would be overhead ride, tab, and we'll call this a 414. Click OK. So that's a quicker way to travel between the individual tracks and the comments fields. And that's what I wanted to show you. Just the different way of creating tracks using Shift Command N to get to the track dialog, and the command and arrow keys to navigate between the track width and the track type, and using the plus key on the numeric keypad to create a second line of the new track dialog, and then using the tab key when naming tracks to get to the command field, and then command and the right arrow to get to the next track. So that's it for this video. If you had any questions about what was happening, you can post them on Facebook or on Twitter, and I will try to address them as quickly as possible. If you had a suggestion for a new video, go ahead and post that on Facebook or Twitter, and I will try to create a video as soon as I can.